It's 1957 and this has been officially declared as the happiest year in the century. To celebrate this, the Queen will deliver her first ever Christmas message. Broadcasters can show television programmes between 6 and 7 p.m. and the Royale Myle has opened a ghost house attraction.
Oh, they also grew spaghetti on a tree. No, seriously, I saw it. It's on telly and everything. Welcome to 1957, and we are only a few years away from feasibly adding our first steel coasters. I mean, Disney's just about to add theirs, and I think we've probably got 2 episodes before we can turn our affections to the Six Flags Mine Train for something similar. And I know just the space for it as well. But before then, just in case you are new here, we are building a theme park through a timeline as opposed to building a theme park stuck in time and building the history around it. And this is the Royale Myle. This is what we have. So this is our new entrance area that we put in the last episode. And I'm still chuffed with how this turned out. Like, I absolutely love it. And then we started off with a bit of a garden park going on. But over the years, we've been developing this back area up here. So we added in our first coaster. We've also extended our Lido. So this is what we are looking at. A Lido, by the way, is pretty much a European or a UK term for outdoor swimming pool. It's not a water park or anything. It's basically a swimming pool. And we've got dolphins and stuff that down here. And we've got a couple of attractions centered around water. We've also got ourselves a waterfront area here, which is like built in the just after the war as part of the post-war upgrades that we were doing. And then we come up this way and we've got ourselves a bit of a grotesque area, deliberately grotesque area. But we've got go-karts, we've got dodgems, we've got all sorts going on here. And then we have our famously unsafe roller coaster. We've got the Bob sitting in the back here. So this is almost like the main components of the main theme park. Over here then we've got another roller coaster. We have the Flying Turns, so you would have seen us put that in. It stays unlimited. And then over this way we have got a ballroom where you can do dancing and all sorts of stuff, couple of shops, and oh, hello, nice tennis courts. Would be a shame if it became a dark ride. Surprise! Did I scare you? Not even sorry. But yeah, this feels like this would have been the next logical place to develop in the park. I mean, we're focusing all of our attentions on the other side of the park. We've left this one largely untouched. Disney is starting to bring to life this idea of escaping into a fantastical land of make-believe. We should probably start doing that too if we're wanting to compete in the world of the theme parks. And dark rides, by the way, are now a thing. And the tennis courts are literally the best place to redevelop this because, you know, tennis is going to start falling out of favour within a theme park. We're no longer a leisure park as such. We're now a theme park that's focusing on rides. So as I say, this flat area is prime for redevelopment. I've kept the original footprint of the tennis courts, by the way, so you can see roughly what area I'm working with and roughly where the building and stuff is going to go. So yeah, I'm taking some inspiration from Laughland on this one with the dark ride. That was around in 1955. Now I need to do some research on what those rides would have looked like back then. I think it's just going to be lots of dark rooms and pop out animatronics. I don't think there'll be anything particularly spectacular, but as I say, Disney is now on the scene, so things are starting to kick up a gear. But this is ultimately the layout that I'm going for. Lots of twists and turns. The idea here would be to get as much bang for your buck out of the track as possible. So you've got lots of twists and turns, and it snakes around a lot. And then I've also just put the queue line just out this way and out into the forest. It feels like that's the thing to do, but I can fully appreciate that right now this is not much to look at. So here we go. Here we go then, guys. This is something a bit better to look at. And at least we've now got some stuff to talk about. And I mean, the thing with 1950s ghost trains is that they are just that, 1950s ghost trains. Disney is offsetting this brand new standard and no one can really compete with that yet. For now, ghost trains are still just these rooms full of cheap props, broken animatronics and a lot of black paint. And the difference now, though, is that Disney is forcing us to be better at this. And this is kind of what I'm going for here. This isn't a Disney level attraction by any stretch of the imagination. This is still very much a basic ghost train attraction, but it did open this year and it's opened within the history timeline of the Disney attractions. So we're starting to take some of those cues, and I mean, we're going for a facade here that doesn't look like much to talk about at the moment, but it is that whole Bates Motel style thing. Now, Disney didn't invent this style as far as I can tell, and the Bates Motel is this kind of style. So this is what we're going for here. Look at the Disneyland Paris one, for example. It looks brilliant. I love it. But inside here, they are still just rooms of stuff, like lots of black paint, a few props to bring something to life, but ultimately it's still wooden partition walls that have been painted black with stuff around it. And this is what I'm going for. Like, the Disney stuff is incredible, but it's just not Royale Myle style. Piraten didn't know it, but the Royale Myle would have made an effort within this ghost train, knowing that they had to not compete with Disney. As I said, no one can compete with Disney at the moment, but that's what they're doing. They're competing with Disney, aren't they, really? So let's take you around what we've got here, because I still need to do the final touches. I still need to put lights in. I still need to put the triggers and stuff in here. But ultimately what we've got is where, how do I get into there? Station. Oh yeah, I put the I've put the wall up. So you got the station here, and then we come into the first scene. So what I wanted to do is have a bit of a, I call it a sluice gate. It's not the official term. It's just a way of blocking the light from one to another. So you come through the doors and you come into the first scene. It is just a room, right? So it's nothing special. It's just supposed to be a haunted room. And then we come into a blackout area. So this is what I'm trying to do here. Lots of pillars and beams and stuff along here that I can put the roof on. And then you come through this way and it is just completely pitch black. And that's the idea of having a spooky scene transition. And then we're going to come into the next room. It's just another version of the room that you've just been in, but it's a slightly different layout, a slightly different theme going on, but ultimately it's still a haunted house room. And then we come into the corridor. I didn't want this to actually be a blackout one. I wanted this to be different, because otherwise it was going to be too repetitive. So this is a spooky haunted corridor that you go down. So there you go. I don't even know if we would have videos and images here, you know, because this technology just doesn't exist in the wider remit of I totally need to trigger these up. The technology doesn't exist in the wider remit, right? So yeah. Then we come into the graveyard scene. So you come outside into the graveyard scene. I am still toying with the idea of making this the house front, because your attention is going to be here, but you might be here. I don't know. I need to sort of like ride it and see what happens. Then we come into another blackout scene here, but this is the crypt scene. So I wanted this to feel a little bit claustrophobic, because you are entering into the crypt area, and then this is the crypt area. I quite like how this has turned out, you know. This is just a case of taking the arches and spamming them around in an octagon style shape. Planet Coaster doesn't make this easy, because they're all the same size, and for you to have them on diagonal, these need to be longer, but it's fine. I found a way of dealing with that because I'm still trying to do this on the cheap. I'm not trying to make this polished. But anyway, this is the crypt scene where stuff's going to happen. Things are going to jump out at you. It's basically supposed to be like this. I don't know if I need to put any stuff on the walls or not, but hey. And then I started to toy with the idea of putting the adventure pack stuff in here, because it just feels like that's what we would do. It's like the adventure pack stuff contains some pretty spooky things, you know, snakes and this dude here and all of that sort of stuff. So I thought, actually, there's some stuff in the other DLC packs that I could be using or should be using. And then we're going to come through this way into another blackout scene. The witch is not going to be triggered. I'm going to put some lights on there so that it just shines on her as you go past. And then we do have a maintenance area that's in this side. Yes, this would exist in this day and age. So this maintenance area would be here. It wouldn't necessarily need access, but there will be external doors and stuff that I need to put in here. I haven't quite done these yet. And then we're going to come into the final corridor scene, which is going to be in here. I don't know what else is going to happen because I need to make this transition into the station. So I don't really know what the station theme is going to be yet. I just need to sort of play that out. And on the outskirts here, I have reconfigured the queue line. Originally, it was a cattle pen that was here, but actually, I kind of figured that if I am going for something similar to the Bates Motel, it needs to have steps up into it. It needs to be a bit grander than I had originally planned. So this is what I've done here. I've started to use the ruin stuff to give it a bit of a foundation base, and then I'm going to put all of the stuff along here. But like I say, it's Bates Motel inspired, so... Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then the queue is going to come around this way. And I've extended the queue slightly because I know that Planet Coaster loves to make this a thing. Planet Coaster. And I haven't even done any triggers on this yet. And it's already 1,000 prestige. So... so anyway, I've put the queue all the way around here. And then put it down this way. And I've made this area a bit of a plaza area. I've started to clear it out with all the stuff. Of course, I need to reconfigure things. I leave stuff in so you can see where original things were. Like, for example, this tennis court stuff needs to go. Like, I need to get rid of it. That's my first thing I'm going to do. But I wanted to keep it in so you could see that I've actually kept within the area that the tennis courts would have been. And likewise, this is the original path configuration that it would have been. And I've now just extended it out slightly. Love it. So when you look at the inside of this, like, I know I said I was going for Laughland and their ghost train attraction they've got, but actually I think that's probably a little bit too low budget for what we're going for here. But Disney is not achievable, so it's like we're kind of going for something that's in between. And probably in the year 20 something, the latter years, there would be a refresh. It would be redone. You know, like how Curse of Golden Manor has had a facelift from Jewel and the Haunted House previous to it. This would be the kind of attraction that would be subjected to that kind of upgrade. So maybe in the future we'll come back and refit this, but who knows. For now, this is what we've got. So with this ugly site needing to be finished, I think I'm going to go finish it. See you in a minute. Oh, you guys, serious nostalgia kicking in now, because I remember when all of this was just tennis courts. It feels like only 10 minutes ago. So anyway, I'll stick up a before and after up so you can see just how much this area has changed. I know I kept the original boundary of the tennis court so you could see how it's changed, but actually this has changed quite a lot, and this is the kind of thing that the parks would go through. And I am so glad that we've now got Disney on the scene, because there's stuff that we're used to seeing in some of the Chacho builds that we can now do. There's backstages, there's bins in the queue line, like all the stuff that we're starting to get familiar with is now a thing. But guys, this is how it looks on the outside. This is so Bates Motel. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. So let's take a look around. I'll show you around inside in the daytime. And then I will do a nighttime tour so you can actually see what it is. Now, please remember, and I feel duty bound to tell you, this is not Disney. This is still the Royale Myle. It's still like they're trying to get up to Disney level, but they're not actually Disney. So this is the station area. I wanted it to be a bit of a dual double height station, and there is a balcony there that's completely unused and completely worthless and completely pointless, and we are so here for it. But it's great. I love it. So what I've done is I've kitted out this as if it's a really simple station, and then we come through the, as I called it earlier, the sluice gate, which is just a door that cuts off all of the light from everywhere else. And as you go through, there's your first scare scene, and it's now all triggered, so trigger warning. So yeah, it's all doing what it needs to do. I'm going to try and be careful with my camera. There we go. I've pressed T a couple of times. So then we've got the main room here. So I toyed with all sorts of different things going on in here with lights and whatever. So you'll see how that's panning out. I decided to take the light away from the fireplace. It was just too much, but I love in the background how you've got this partition wall missing and the light from the background bleeds through. This is exactly as it would be like when I've been watching all of the 1950s like spooky houses and ghost trains and stuff. This is exactly how it is, just partition walls, and there's gaps in it, and it's a mess and all sorts. And then we come through this way into the blackout scene. So this is now a complete blackout scene. Well, it's not a complete blackout scene. You'll see what I've done, because this speaker here will probably give away what we've actually achieved in this area. And then we come into the second room. I love this second room. So you hear a bell there, right? So, yes, there are sounds and stuff that are triggered on here, but I've had to be really careful with what sounds to use. Because this is still the 1950s, you don't have digital synthesized sounds. It would all be analog sounds, you know, like bells and sirens and klaxons and all of that sort of stuff. Or you can have recorded voice, but it's really low quality. So this is what I've done. I've kept it to as analog-y sounds as I can possibly find. So that's why you'll hear bells and klaxons and stuff. Anyway, this is and the and the clock going off. So anyway, this is the room inside here. This is now finished. This is all I need it to be. It doesn't need to be any more kitted out than this. As I said, it's likely that they would come along and regenerate it in the future years. Anyway, and then we've got ourselves our corridor. Now, remembering as well, we've spoken about this loads on the channel, about this idea of there being two worlds in a dark ride, right? So the lights and stuff here will actually bleed through and stop all of this stuff at the top here from being on show anyway. We don't achieve that in Planet Coaster because of the way the lighting system works, but in reality you wouldn't actually see much of this up here. It would be too dark. You will see some of it when we go into nighttime, but it's not entirely perfect. And then we've got the graveyard area. So this hasn't really changed much from when you saw it last. There's just a bit of tidying up, a bit of realigning based on sight lines and stuff, but nothing really too extreme. And then we come into the crypt, or the crypt entrance. There's some stuff that's going to go on in here. And you'll notice that I have put fire doors and stuff in. And yes, these signs are now a thing as well. So in the 60s, these were introduced, especially in this particular format. So we're good to go. We can start, as I said, using the stuff that we're used to seeing in a Chacho build. I'm starting to get into the modern realms of things that we can do. And I'm starting to feel like I'm in my comfort zone again. So then we come into the crypt. I like how this turned out. Given that this was a happy accident, like from down here, yes, like I'm totally here for it. Like you get all of the stuff that you need to. There's, when you see this in the dark, you'll see all of the colours and stuff kicking in, and you get all the scares and whatever. And then in the top here, here's the second world. So here is like all of the lighting structures and all of the aircon units and the different panels and stuff that you've got on the walls where they've like pieced it together as part of the building. I love it. Like, yes, it's just an industrial world that just lives and it's just there. I think I prefer this to over any of the other builds I've done, because all the other builds I've done have just been like perfectly positioned because it's all modern architecture and everything is pristine and everything is as it should be. This is very jank because it's the 1950s. Hello, mate. I didn't mean to zoom into you. I'm gonna change my camera and carry on. Soz. Yeah, so everything's all jank and everything's just positioned because it needs to be there rather than anything else. And then we come through this way, lots of gargoyles and stuff. I can't remember how much of this stuff was here when we first saw it. And then the witch. I stopped the witch from doing her incantations and stuff. But we are now in the realm where electric cabinets are here and they would be on display. Yes. And then we come this way. Oh, God, what is going on with that? I don't know what I got stuck to then. Hang on. T again. There we go. We come into here and then we have ourselves a maintenance area. Now, I would normally put plaster and stuff up on here to make it look like a maintenance area, but actually, it doesn't need to be any more than this. It would just be a wood shack within the middle of the building with some stuff thrown into it, and you are happy and away. And then, there you go, the final corridor scene. I actually decided to keep it really low key. I wanted the lighting to be on this side, so let's just move out the way of the door. I wanted the lighting to be on this side, so you've got the darkness falling in here. So I've been talking a lot about like lighting and effects and blah, 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 blah. I think it's probably time I showed you. There we go. PM. Cha-cha-cha. There we go. So now we are in the dark. Right, so we're going to come through this way. There's a little bit of subtle red lighting going on. And then we come through here. And then we've got green and red going on. Everything would be very primary colours. It would be very red, greens, possibly purples and pinks and stuff, because again it's 1950s, so they haven't quite got used to the idea of colours and stuff. Everything's very red in here. This is what I was talking about, having the lights and stuff shining through in the background. They're not like overpowering, but they are there, very much there. So this is the first room. Yes. And then these guys all kick off. There's the pink lights, and we come through here, and now you'll see lightning. I've used this trick loads. Like, that's not even new to the channel. Like, it's one of my favourite things to do with the lighting stuff. And then you've got the bits going on in here. There's the bell, and we come this way into the corridor. There's the corridor, very low lit, and I'm loving how this is low lit. No, do you see what I mean with these lights down here? Stop the darkness from feeding through. It almost like floods the top here, and you don't actually see much of the stuff until it's actually lit up by the stuff that's going on in the next scene. And then the graveyard, you've got more thunder and lightning going off in here. So again, it's just nice and simple. I decided to not do anything with the exterior of the building here. I actually decided just to keep it black and keep it that way. Lights and stuff go off in here, and then this. I think this is my favourite lit room. It's just so subtle, but it's so there. It's a lot of browns, purples, and greens in this area, and actually it feels like a crypt. Feels like a crypt should do, and yeah, I'm here for this largely. And then we go into the blackout tunnel this way with the witch. There we go, and then we go through into the door. Then we go through the door, and then there's the final corridor. Like I say, the actual track itself is in darkness, and that's by design. I wanted it to feel like it was a bit claustrophobic. And then this is the outside. So I love like the lighting package in here. I did decide to do a lighting package. I thought actually the park would probably, as I said, they don't, as I keep saying, they don't want to compete with Disney, but they want to be in the same realm as Disney, so they probably would have paid for a bit of a lighting package and stuff for this to go on. So I've just subtly put these out as purples, reds, and then this green in here. So all the lights and stuff, they are fitted as if they would be in realism, etc. You know that's what I do here anyway. So now let's have a look at the outside. So lots of plazas and stuff that's going on in here. So you know how I do all of this. I've moved all of the flowers. That's now all in line. This is now a nice little open plaza. The queue line down this way is now all finished, and I'm so glad I used the path cover. Like this this queue just looks so different without the in-game textures on the path, on the ground and stuff. I love it. And then in the back here, we have just got a maintenance area. Like I say, we're now in the realms where these now exist. We need them because we do have an actual maintenance area at the top of the park. So we now need one down here at the back of the ride. But because this area has actually cut off the main pathway into the dressing rooms that we've got for the ballroom, I've now actually put a concrete path along this way that now feeds around the back of the dark ride. And it also feeds the dressing rooms and stuff here as well. So this is now nice and landscaped. So guys, this is how it is looking. I love it. Like, it's spoopy doopy. It's very Bates Motel, isn't it? It's perfect. It's perfect for this park, and I am here for it. Guys, thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it, as always. Please leave a like, comment, you know, all the usual stuff, blah 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 blah. Keeps the channel going. And all the usual gubbins. I reckon we're going to go for a ride. Just remember, there's no music. It's 1957. They don't have music in these rides. It's just going to be sound effects. Please remember that. It's not Disney. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.